A record number of environmental activists were murdered last year. According to the campaign group Global Witness, there were more than 220 killings, many of them linked to resource exploitation such as logging and mining. A third targeted Indigenous people. The highest number of attacks, 65, was in Colombia. So let's join now Louis Wilson, who is Senior Communications Advisor from Global Witness. Louis, good to see you. That's a shocking number, 220 people killed, at a time when the climate crisis is getting worse by the day. What else did your report find?
Well, as you point out, our report found that as the climate crisis intensifies, so too does violence against those protecting the planet. Our report found a very clear link between resource exploitation, so the felling of trees, the extraction of minerals, and violence against people protecting the planet.
So in some of these countries that we're looking at, is there just no protection or sufficient protection to protect those who are defending their land?
That's correct. And governments and industry in these countries, the worst affected countries, have made it very clear that their priority is resource extraction over the rights and benefits of communities, especially Indigenous communities in the global south and the planet.
So you're seeing as well, I guess, unofficial agreements between state forces and private companies too?
It's always more complicated than a direct agreement, and because of the way that the global economy is set up, it's often very difficult to point to a specific country. We can identify in many cases specific industries that are causing the violence, but because of the way that global supply chains are set up, it's very difficult to identify specific companies, certainly, and specific state actors. But what we can say is that the same activities that are driving climate breakdown are causing violence against some of the most vulnerable communities.
Can I ask you, though, Louis, specifically about Colombia, because it is the country with the highest number of deaths. What's happening there?
Well, Colombia is a particularly complicated context. We have a peace deal that was signed in 2016 with the FARC, and that has created a lot of tension in rural areas as there's been a change in the power dynamics there. But also we see through COVID this prioritization of economic development, resource exploitation, and a closing down of civic space. So things like the free press, things like civil society were not able to function as effectively in 2020. And when that happens, you do tend to see increased violence against vulnerable communities.
So changes to environmental law, legislation, obviously crucial in many countries to protect some of these people.
Absolutely. We need to regulate big corporations and their supply chains. That is the most crucial thing, and it's not happening fast enough or anywhere near in enough jurisdictions.
Louis Wilson, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.